We're spending the next 6 weeks backpacking our way around southern Africa. We'll be checking out the sights around Cape Town, exploring Victoria Falls and doing wildlife safaris in Botswana. So join along to follow our adventures. After 3 weeks in Chobe National Park, we've just flown to Cape Town, where we have this insane view from our hostel of Table Mountain. As nature lovers, we obviously had to do a hike up the mountain, so we decided to take a less travelled route there. Our option went via the botanical gardens and took this back route up these ladders to the top of the mountain. But the main reason why I picked this route is because it led us to this white sand beach with a red lake, and it literally looked like we're on another planet. We ended up falling in love with Cape Town and spent about a month in and around the area. We checked out the colourful houses at Bow Cap, which is formerly known as the Malay Quarter, and spent lots of days down at the harbour where you get a view of Table Mountain and get to hear the local music. We also fell in love with the weekend markets where we got to eat so much delicious food and amazing coffees, and we even found one that was near this dog rescue centre, so we got to take the rescue dogs for a walk. After a while we moved away from the city and headed to an area where we were close to Boulders Beach to do some day trips. This beach is home to dozens of penguins. The first area we visited, you weren't allowed to go on the beach, but there was a boardwalk where you could see the penguins. Further along there's a beach you're allowed to walk on, and we got pretty close to the penguins here as they just waddled right past us. There were some rocks that went out towards the sea, so we decided to sit on them and wait, and suddenly some penguins started swimming right below us. We decided to continue walking all the way along the coast until we became too tired and hitched a ride back. The next day we caught an Uber to Cape Point, where we did a lovely walk along the coast and met lots of ostriches. It was a really lovely area, but we actually preferred it when we walked away from Cape Point and discovered these tidal pools, beaches and mountains. We managed to hitchhike a ride back to Simonstown and decided to stop and see the penguins again. We changed locations and based ourselves at this canal-side property near Muizenberg. And it came with free use for canoes, so we made the most of it every single day.
This is our little canoe, and this is where we're staying. This lovely spot. That's our apartment on the bottom left. Lovely jubbly.
Not too far away was this beach where we went surfing for a few hours. But most of our time was spent relaxing and researching the next part of our trip. But we'd always try and go for a canoe at sunrise and sunset. One morning we came across a flock of flamingos, which was such a nice treat. From our garden we got this amazing view of the mountains, and sometimes the clouds would just wrap around the top of them. We spent another week hanging out in a different area known as Hout Bay, and there happened to be lots of seals in this area, which was really cool.
Hello.
Here he comes.
Craig, look at him.
Oh, this small one's one big one. Oh, honey.
This is the crazy view we got from sitting on the roof of a fast food joint. There was some really gorgeous coastline in the area, so we wanted to hike some beaches, but we were continuously warned that it was dangerous to do so. We did eventually brave a hike to this beach, which was really pretty, but we didn't exactly feel safe on it. Before we left South Africa, we made sure to head back to Cape Town where we could do a hike up Lion's Head, and it ended up being a pretty wild route up there. Now it's time to say goodbye to South Africa and make our way to Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe. But it was actually cheaper to stay across the border in Zambia, so we would just travel between the two countries, and on the way we'd regularly see elephants on the main road. Seeing as we heard Victoria Falls were best on the Zimbabwe side, that's exactly where we headed. Straight away we saw this guy surfing on the Zambezi River. The falls were very impressive as expected, and it was quite a good time of year to see them because there wasn't too much mist blocking the view. And on the top right here you can see people in Devil's Pool, which is like this pool right above the waterfall. After seeing the waterfalls, we headed to this lodge which offer a free vulture culture show. This is where they feed the vultures to give them a helping hand, as they're often poisoned by poachers.
Wow, that's it.
We had plans of volunteering in Botswana, but for now we're quite close to Chobe National Park, so we decided to do a day trip there. It cost a whopping $140 per person for the trip from Livingstone in Zambia, but it did include transfers, a 3-hour game drive, buffet lunch and 3-hour boat trip. This national park has the largest population of elephants in Africa, exceeding 120,000 of them. The game drive was very action-packed. We saw a pride of 15 lions hiding under the bushes and hundreds of elephants. We got to watch this herd swim across the river towards Namibia. After a filling buffet lunch at one of the lodges, we headed on our boat trip where we saw big groups of buffalo and antelope. We also saw plenty of crocodiles and hippos too.
But the hippo don't cut the grass with the teeth.
Once we were back in Livingstone, we did a day trip to a really fancy lodge where we got high tea. We got the local shared minivan down to the main road and walked along the driveway there, so we got to see all this wildlife along the drive.
Bye, do they? Hello. Wow. Wow.
These zebra and giraffe are from the surrounding national park and they just roam through the grounds, which was so cool.
Look how fancy this is.
We had this incredible view of the Zambezi River and we could even hear hippos in the water. It was a really incredible experience, but sadly the afternoon tea was not as good as a British one. Some monkeys came along though and tried to steal our food, so we had to have a security guard standing on watch with a catapult to keep them away. Join us next time when we volunteer in a remote village in Zimbabwe.